Welcome everyone to the webinar on the role of rail in member states' innovation strategies. I am Monique van Wortel. I am a seconded national expert from the Netherlands, and I have the pleasure to moderate this session. It will be a 1-hour session until 2:30. And the session is centered around two main questions. The first one is, which are the objectives and priorities of a member state's rail innovation strategy? And the second one, what is the link with the Shift2Rail joint undertaking? And how could the Shift2Rail joint undertaking and the member states cooperate and strengthen each other? We will have with us today representatives of 8 European countries: Austria, Albania, Switzerland, the Czech Republic, Germany, Spain, Norway, and Sweden. And when I give the floor to the speakers of these countries, I would kindly like to ask them to present themselves. And then they will start with their presentations of 5 minutes per person, centered around these questions. We will do all the presentation first, and then afterwards there will be time for questions. For the attendees, you can use the chat box or you can use the question and answer box. And please, if you have a specific question for a specific country or representative, could you include that in the in your question? For those who will speak, I want to ask to unmute yourself, and after speaking to again mute yourself. I'm looking forward to this session, and I would now like to welcome our first speaker. She is the chair of the Shift2Rail Joint Undertaking States Representative Group. It's Mrs. Sarah Bittner-Krautschak. Sarah, you will have the floor, and I will upload the presentation.
Thank you very much, Monique, for this introduction. I would like to thank the organizers for introducing or for implementing this session into the Shift2Rail Innovation Days. And also would like to thank the contributing member states for the contribution. And of course, Miroslav, our vice chair, for the idea on it. The Shift2Rail States Representative Group tries to act as an interface within the Shift2Rail joint undertaking and the national research, technology, and innovation strategies, programs, and initiatives on national and regional level. In the member states, we support research, technology, and innovation for rail solutions on the one hand, and on the other hand, we also invest in the implementation of the new solutions resulting from research, technology, and innovation. So there are many reasons why we invest in research, technology, and innovation in the implementation. Sometimes the reasons are not the same, but we are slightly different because we have different circumstances in our member states, and therefore I think this session gives us a great opportunity to show this broad range of different strategies on national level. So it's my big pleasure that we have found 8 member states that are willing to contribute to this session, and I'm happy to start on behalf of the Austrian Federal Ministry for Climate Action, Environment, Energy, Mobility, Innovation and Technology. Myself, I'm located in the Directorate General for Innovation and Technology, and there in the Department for Mobility and Transport Technologies. And I was also the project leader for our newly developed Research, Technology, and Innovation Strategy for Mobility 2040. It has been developed over the last year. We carried out a large stakeholder process and included 17 different workshops and carried out 2 open public consultations. And in the end, we agreed on a vision that it's called Innovation in and from Austria for a climate neutral mobility system in Europe. This strategy should bridge the mobility policy area with the research, technology and innovation policy area. And it was presented this September by our minister, and the vision was signed by our minister together with 16 high-level representatives from the Austrian business, industry and scientific sector. Among them, there was also the Austrian Federal Railways. We, as the Ministry for Climate Action, in our role responsible for innovation and technology, we would like to serve as an initiator to enable that vision. For the thematic focus, we decided not to focus on technological areas nor on transport modes, but on 4 fields of missions. 2 of them came out of the demand for mobility and give the spatial dimension, which are the cities. The one is making urban mobility climate neutral, and regions mobilizing and sustainable connecting the rural areas. And the other ones are more technologically oriented. The first one is digitalization, operating infrastructure, mobility and logistics services efficiently and in a climate-friendly manner. And the fourth one on technology, developing environmental-friendly transport technologies. We as a political initiator, we developed 4 measures in the area of research, technology and innovations. And the first one is that we would like to further invest in research, technology and innovation funding with a stronger focus on transformation and a stronger focus on mission orientation. We want to set up alliances and implementation partnerships. We would like to invest in environmental rooms as regulatory sandboxes. We had an instrument there which is called Innovation Labs, and we would further expand it to the regulatory sandboxes. And we would like to support the European and international positioning in the future. So I'm sorry for my background. My boy is crying, and now I would like to hand over to our next country here.
Thank you very much, Sara, for your warm words and for your presentation on behalf of Austria. I would now like to give the floor to Albania.
Thank you, Monique. Thank you very much for the invitation and participation in this session. Through the Ministry of Infrastructure and Energy of Albania and Albanian Railways, we would like to emphasize the role of rail in the member states, in our neighboring countries, and the national innovation strategy in Albania through the objectives which are significant improvement of the interconnectivity for the transport and energy and digital networks in the trans-European networks, for the interoperability through the digitalization and its further integration of our European transport system, especially of the rail traffic monitoring systems, on board and trackside. I'd like to emphasize also the fact that currently Albania is also involved in the green corridors, which are linking Albania with the southeast region and beyond. For the link of our strategic working group and how we can cooperate and strengthen each other, I would like to also emphasize the link with the priorities of the rail innovation strategy, which are mostly 2. The railway sector reform to create an open market for different investors, including research and development and innovation, and positioning of Albania in the European railway market as a player in the Southeast Europe, in the core transport network corridors, and the rail freight corridors already amended and adopted in the EU regulations. As for the joint European approach, it is through the research and innovation aspects, through the European rail traffic monitoring systems and our smart specialization strategy in the Adriatic and Ionian region, including Albania. Our innovative role of rail transport is aiming at multimodality context under the Southeast Europe Observatory, which is the Transport Community Treaty, also for the donors and for their targets to climate mitigation and the harmonization with the TSI's technical specifications for interoperability, for greener transport and sustainable infrastructures. As for a flagship initiative, which is already incorporated in our national strategy paper and our rail and innovation and scientific research strategies, it is the flagship initiative to join the EU mobility and sustainability and the Frail Rail Corridor, which is for the railway projects and the core network corridors through a modal shift into the Western Balkans through the TCT Observatory. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Enedi. We will now go, to Switzerland, and I would like to invite Mr. Jürg Lütscher to take the floor.
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity to talk at this webinar. My name is Jürg Lütscher. I'm working for the Federal Office of Transport, and I'm working in the Department of Infrastructure. My responsibility there is to have the lead for innovation, especially for ERTMS programs, and also for the implementation of the fourth in Switzerland. What are the essential aspects about innovation in the Swiss rail sector? Looking into the future, we will have real challenges. First, to cover the future needs in mobility and freight traffic, and secondly, also reducing their impact. What do we have? We have densely populated metropolitan areas, which will further grow. We have emissions of a highly industrialized population. Without measures, they will further grow. Political signals clearly call now for a change, also in our country. The rail service already plays an important role in mobility and freight traffic in Switzerland. The Federal Office of Transport focus in its strategy as follows. In the time frame of the year 2030, the change should become reality. And these are the key elements. Rail should cover future mobility needs. Rail should become the mainstay in freight traffic. The focus will be on multimodal and interoperable services, not only a rail product. Environment, habitats, resources shall be sustainable, protected. The activities to reach these goals are in the hands of the National Safety Authority with the focus of implementing the technical innovation. What will be the role of the future technological development? Today's rail sector is not a forerunner in innovation. Standardization and interoperability become more and more a major obstacle for fundamental innovation. When the rail sector shall be able to fulfill the political targets, the future technological development will play the key role. And these are the items. Innovation will be the result of an international collaboration. We cannot do it country by country in an isolated way. And bringing the experts together with will accelerate these innovation programs. We need innovative and modular serious products available on the market, and these products shall be affordable to buy in all states. Shift2Rail, with the successing program, can take the task of a dynamic technological coordination. And this is the key issue to bring this program to a success. Together, we can realize innovation. And on the part of Switzerland, we are ready to participate. With words, I give back the floor to the chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lütscher. And it's very interesting that you already look into the role of a possible follow-up of the joint undertaking. I would now like to invite the Vice Chair of the States Representative Group, Mr. Miroslav Haltov, to take the floor.
Thank you, Monique. Thank you, Monique, for giving me the floor. I would like to introduce the Czech Republic Strategy for Innovation. Czech Republic Strategy for Innovation was approved by the government in 2019. It's valid for 10 years, starting 2020 and finishing 2030. The ambitions of the strategy is written. You can see that the Czech Republic Country for Future is the motto of our strategy. We have together 9 basic elements of the national strategy, which is the smart country of smart people, country for investment, country for technology, country for patents, country for excellence, country for startups. All those 6 topics are covering all human research and innovation activities and are dealing also partly with transport, especially rail. But the 3 main topics from the strategy is called smart infrastructure, country for research and development, and country for digitalization are the significant challenges for transport, especially rail. You can see on my slide that the country for smart infrastructure is focused on building the new infrastructure for the new and sustainable mobility of people. Our main goal in the infrastructure building is, and smart infrastructure is, to build the first part of the high-speed rail network, which will connect Germany, especially Berlin, Prague, and Vienna, in links to Slovakia, to Bratislava, to Hungary, Budapest, and of course to Poland, all our neighboring countries. Not only the high-speed rail infrastructure is the target of Czech Republic. We need to also include regions. I presented this at the other webinar 2 days ago, and our Deputy Minister for Transport explained the role of regions in this infrastructure building strategies. Country for research and development. This is, you can see the figures of the GDP, which our government is ready to invest for growing the research and development funding. every year there will be an increasing percent of the growth. So we could achieve the target for 2030 to be one of the one of the champion in the Central and Eastern Europe to cover the research and development funding from the governmental position. The last target is Czech Republic country for digitalization. Digital railway is one of the main and first priority. As I already told, digital railway includes using Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, big data, human-machine interfaces, digital automated coupler, ERTMS, via GNSS, and many more. And that's why Czech Ministry of Transport, together with our infra manager, is preparing for 2021 in link with EU Year of Rail, also a year of digitalization in rail in Czech Republic. That's in principle all. Thank you for your attention, and I am ready to answer all your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Miroslav, for your interesting presentation. Interesting to hear about the year of digitalization, and also your mentioning of the role of regions to support the uptake of innovation. We could come back to that later, but I would now like to invite the next speaker, the representative of Germany, Dr. Katharina Horn-Sader.
Yes, hello. Katharina Horn-Sader from the Federal Ministry of Transport. Yeah, hello. Katharina Horn-Sader from the Federal Ministry of Transport and Digital Infrastructure. I'm in the division of noise mitigation, environmental and climate protection research matters in the railway sector. Yes, to start with, I just want to mention one point that is not new, but maybe the starting point for all this reflection on research and innovation in the railway, in the railways. The German government committed to a substantial modal shift, and until 2030, we want to double the number of railway passengers and increase substantially the market share of rail in freight transport. And this will work only if railways gets the mode of choice for potential users, and therefore it's necessary that it becomes more attractive, convenient, and the first mode that people think about when thinking about organizing some kind of transport for freight or for passengers. So for this, we need to use the whole potential of innovation in railways. We need to accelerate the development of innovative solutions. And this is in this context that we took much time to think about the priorities of a research program, or let's say we first started to think that it would be necessary to have a federal research program for rail transport, where we fixed some overall goals and priorities for the next years. There are 4 main points that I would like to mention. The first one may be the most important with respect to innovation is digital automatic coupling. We set up a migration study in 2019 that was published this year in July, where we ask a consortium that was working for us to develop some ideas how one could imagine an EU-wide migration to a digital automatic coupling system. I guess this is really the key factor in increasing the competitiveness of rail freight transport, and maybe the most important point, as it will open up to a large number of possibilities that may contribute to increasing the productivity of the whole freight transport system, and provide the basis for digitalization, for automation of rail freight transport. And this is really the most important. We also set up a project that is called DAG Demonstrator. It's running until the end of 2022. And it will have the objective to test and evaluate different types of coupling systems in order to learn more about what is possible in this way. Another important topic for us is the idea of providing an open digital railway test area in Germany, which will allow field tests under real conditions. There we are still at a very first starting point, one can say. So just for the moment at the step of analyzing which are the research infrastructure necessities, what is necessary. We also are interested in the question, of course, what is required from the railway sector that may also use, of course, this open test field. And there are other aspects such as legal ones, for example, about how to organize the whole thing in addition to these technical points that shall be analyzed and where we want to, which will be the basis for implementing this test area. Another important point, of course, is the whole question of climate adaptation of infrastructure, the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions of linked with railways itself, even though railways are a very transport mode that is very environmental friendly and linked with very low level of emissions. And there's still another topic that is also very important to us. It's the whole discussion about chemical vegetation control on railway tracks and more specifically of finding an alternative to glyphosate. And to mention the last priority, this is cybersecurity, which is getting more and more in the focus with respect to automation. And there we start with some kind of analysis of weaknesses of the existing railway system. And in a second step, which are security requirements that come from technological and industrial products that are used in railway system. So these are for us the main points. And yeah, as our colleague from Switzerland already said, we think also that Shift2Rail can take a very important task of technological coordination. There's much about also the definition of common standards and common efforts. For example, when you think about the whole question of how to organize a migration to a digital automatic coupling system that is concerning finally all countries within the European Union, and where one should agree finally on one concept. with this respect, we are very happy that as you know, Germany has the presidency of the Council of the European Union, and we are very glad that in the Declaration of Berlin that was signed on 21 September, 25 ministers of transport agreed, stated very clearly the importance of innovation and research in rail transport, and mentioned more specifically the need for a successor of Shift2Rail, and also identified the implementation of digital automatic coupling as one of the priorities for the next years. So we think that of course Shift2Rail as the European initiative in railways research may play a very important role, and we will be glad if we can find a better link between national research and innovation priorities and the European ones. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Katharina. It was very interesting to hear you talking about the importance to improve competitiveness of rail freight. We had some very interesting sessions on rail freight during the Shift2Rail Innovation Days. And also, of course, the digital automatic coupling, which is a very important item within Shift2Rail. And of course, we welcome the initiative of the German presidency to promote research and innovation in rail freight. I would like to give the floor now to the next speaker, which is Beatriz Alcocer Pinilla from Spain.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for the opportunity to participate and to share our priorities. I'm Beatriz Alcocer from the Ministry of Transport, Mobility and Urban Agenda in Spain. About our priorities, we all agree that transport is facing a deep change. Key factors transforming our mobility, like digitalization, the Green Deal, and the increasing concentration of the population in cities. For this reason, the Ministry of Transport here in Spain has switched its infrastructure policies. Of course, we think it's important to promote new infrastructure, but also it's really important to optimize our existing network by implementing new technologies and providing real solutions to citizens, businesses, and logistic companies, because the users are at the core of our transport system, and therefore these solutions are where we should focus on. Our two key policies are the mobility strategy that we present the last month, and we have started a process of open dialogue until the end of the year, and the urban and rural agenda. Both strategies are focused on three main fields. The first one is the safety and security along the journey on the infrastructure in case of emergency, cybersecurity, and of course, in the current context, we also consider health safety. Sustainability, the second one, in daily journeys and commuting, reducing the negative externalities and promoting clean modes. And the third one, connectivity, by developing digitalization, connectivity, and multimodality. In this entire context, we understand that railways plays a key role. It's at the heart of many of the solutions for urban mobility, connecting with region and with the rest of Europe. To promote its use, we must make it more attractive and more efficient. And we think that innovation is one of the keys, or maybe the key, to get it. innovation related to traffic management, new energies, intermodality, interoperability, logistics chains, and passenger experience. These are the items of our innovation strategy. And in this context, we believe that our aims are aligned with the European policies, also with the direction that innovation takes in Horizon Europe and in the railway sector with that Shift2Rail pursues. In addition, here in Spain, we have an extensive rail network with more than 15,000 kilometers. And we are still making high investment in order to develop the different corridors we have, to invest in high-speed project and the implementation of the ERTMS, and also to promote our conventional network, because it's also a key to ensure social mobility and cohesion. In addition, our network is really different because we have kilometers with Spanish gauge and with high-speed lines with standard gauge. And there in this network, 1.5 million of travelers use this network every day. Also, it's a network with a great potential due to the great amount of entities that we have developed surrounding it. Some of them are already participating in Shift2Rail, and with a great experience and knowledge in infrastructure, services, rolling stock, research, and innovation. For this reason, we think that the ways of collaboration and synergies with Shift2Rail are broad, and Railways is in a great position to benefit from this two-way cooperation, where Spain and the rest of member states should participate in defining priorities to ensure that innovation contributes to the objectives set out of the different public policies. Also, in context or initiative like today, we can share our national or strategic plans, and we could contribute to the design of the research lines and plans more disruptive, avoiding duplication and ensuring a greater coordination in topics and projects. So that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Beatriz. Very interesting to hear you talking also about the importance of cities and regions, so also the urban aspect, and then the need for good coordination between the joint undertaking and also member state strategies to get the best result out of both works.
Thank you.
Having said that, I would like to give the floor now to Norway, to Mr. Erik Sivertsen.
Thank you very much, Monique, and good afternoon to all of you. My name is Erik Sivertsen, and I work in the Ministry of Transport with rail issues. This slide could be looked upon as making a picture in two different ways. One is as an sort of an arrow from the left to the right, expressing the policy targets of the National Transport Plan and how these targets may be achieved. In the other direction, from the right to the left, as a sort of a wave, it expresses how we intend to use the different tools or institutions available for achieving the different policy targets in order to give us a transport system for the future. So the overarching strategy for the Norwegian transport sector, what is expressed in black writing, is to have a transport system which is safe, supports and enhances all different functions in the society to provide wealth and creating value, all within a low carbon and sustainable society. In blue writing, I have pointed out a handful of drivers for the innovations. Rail is and will be the backbone for door-to-door mobility and logistics solutions, also in the future. Rail transport should be exploited as an effective and climate-friendly means of transport. We are promoting new technology by establishing open requirements and giving room for new technical solutions and supporting the use of new technology. And we need to ensure that all investments, that also maintenance and renewals, are provided in a cost-effective way. We want more rail for money, and innovative solutions are key for achieving this. The transport infrastructure needs to be more reliable to the users and the consumers, and we need to explore further how we identify the correct and most cost-effective ways of making it more robust and reliable. One of the main priorities is also to reduce the maintenance backlog. However, we try to find innovative solutions for identifying the real maintenance backlog and not the calculated backlog based on the age of the different components, etc. With new technology and by making use of new technology in an intelligent way, it is a major factor in this regard. So in the red writing, I have listed the main institutions which could function as our tools for achieving the ambitions. The national team of research and innovation institutions, rail actors and authorities need to be strengthened because we invest heavily in rail, and we need to have a competent and strong sector to perform all its new tasks and run the different projects in a successful way. Our national team is supported by Innovation Norway, which is the Norwegian government's most important instrument for innovation and development of new Norwegian enterprises and industry. Innovation Norway supports companies in developing their competitive advantages and to enhance innovation. The Research Council of Norway is the coordinating governmental body to promote renewal and innovation in the public sector, as well as promoting competitiveness and growth in Norwegian trade and industry by providing financial support and advice for research and innovation projects. The portfolio for energy, transport and low emissions works to ensure that the energy and transport sectors deliver sustainable, smart and secure solutions, technologies and services. Through Horizon Europe, we hope to integrate our efforts with the rest of the European communities. And also, and finally, by being, hopefully, as we have announced our candidacy, to be a member of the new rail partnership after Shift2Rail, we will contribute to develop new innovative solutions and prove that they could work. And because of the harsh climate and rough topography and infrastructure we have in Norway, we have made this sort of motto that if it works in Norway, it works everywhere. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Erik. Thank you for stressing the importance of integration of efforts from the EU side and from the member state sides to strengthen each other in research and innovation. And also interesting to hear about the importance you attach to robust infrastructure and reducing the capacity of infrastructure. I would like to give the floor now to the representative of Sweden, Mr. Bo Olsson, who is also a member of the Shift2Rail governing board. So, Mr. Olsson, you have the floor.
Thank you. Yes, my name is Bo Olsson. I work at Trafikverket in Sweden. We are the infra manager for rail and road as our maybe core issue, and therefore we are close linked with the member state Sweden and the thinking in the member state. I've been a member of Shift2Rail since the beginning. I'm a member of the governing board. Hopefully I can give a broad presentation here. And I would like to start that of these 6 issues to create a well-functioning society. It's of course for people and goods, but also spatial issues, living, safety, security, reliability, working, all these issues that is included in this thinking. And of course, the climate issue is in core here. Everybody wants or demands a climate neutral transport system. You know, in other areas, Sweden have been working with electrification of heavy duty trucks. That is an example of this. We are working in different programs, national and in Shift2Rail on solutions making this happen. And but also we would not like to forget the gender issues. There's still a lot to be done there, and to safeguard that we don't get problems with this. Also, the social gaps is important to address, depending where you live, what kind of job you have, your education, your age, but also, of course, people with reduced mobility. They can not be forgotten when we strive for automation or vehicles. So this has to be done in a socio-economic efficiency. Somebody used the productivity, and I think that is a very important thinking. So what is this? It is, of course, a socio-economic business case with also quality analysis of what we are planning to do. It has, of course, to be sustainable, but not forgetting the commercial business case, which is the key to everything to make it happen. And also, we must be able to implement this. And what is the implementation models? We have to follow standards. We have to create maybe new rules. We have to see to get investment and see who are the actors, what is the process. And as mentioned before, and we come back to that, the digital automatic coupler, which is a focus for implementation in Shift2Rail, and it will be further on, is a good example of this. There's also a good example in Shift2Rail work on control command systems for signaling how to make this a European solution. Then I would like to point out that this is based on new technology, new knowledge. We must foster the technology knowledge, the knowledge about systems, and that could be done inside and outside the rail sector. We shouldn't be afraid of using and cooperating with other sectors on these issues. But we should also have a, may I say, dynamic thinking within the rail sector to question what we are doing, or thinking, as it's called, outside the box, to see, can we do this in another way or better way? And then also we would like to point out that the rail freight is a key area for all of us, and I believe it's also pointed out in the Horizon Europe thinking. We have, as our German colleagues said, a clear example of this on the digital automatic coupling, which has been developed in companies, in different member states, and in Shift2Rail. And we've been able to put this together in a work now to see what we can do, and we have an implementation kind of system pillar that is, I think, a very example of how we do these things together, linking national, private, and EU initiatives together. And this, I would also like to point out, is not a coupler. It's not a function, it is an enabler. So we can have an intelligent, monitored freight train, which can give then secondary values for society as remote driving, more efficient driving, things like that. And for helping this now for cooperation between member states and Shift2Rail and its successor. I think early planning is important, mapping of plans in EU, Horizon Europe, and national plans. And also, I think it's very important to note that challenge and opportunity-driven project is the model to have in the next partnership. And as we see it, we have challenges, they are European. It's very few that is unique national. So therefore we need European solutions, and the European solutions is addressed in the European Rail Partnership. And I think we will have a wide cooperation in this that will enhance the values. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Olsson. Thank you for pointing out the importance of early planning and mapping of plans, both at EU and at national level. You also mentioned the importance of decarbonization that I heard in various presentations, and the role of rail to contribute to that. And the knowledge about systems, as rail is a combination of subsystems, and the joint undertaking is also working on that. So thank you very much. We listened to 8 presentations of 8 member states or European countries. I heard a lot of things about the way that member states and Shift2Rail could strengthen each other. For example, I heard about technology coordination, I heard about common standards, I heard about mapping, integration of efforts, and I also heard about regional aspects, so the role of region. I will stop sharing my screen, and I would like to ask if anyone of the speakers would like to react on what we just heard about how the member states and the joint undertaking could cooperate together. Is there anyone who would like to take the floor? I see Mr. Miroslav Haltov.
Yeah, thank you, Monique, for giving the word to me back. I would like also to focus on not only regional cooperation, but also the bilateral or multilateral cooperation between the member states or states associated to Horizon 2020 and Horizon Europe. We already started the negotiations with Norway on the ministerial level to sign the memorandum of understanding about the cooperation in research innovation, and also including intelligent transport systems, including space activities, new technologies developed for global navigation, satellite systems, and many more. So there is also the way which is not covered, all is not covered by Shift2Rail or the joint undertaking. There is one way. The second is that we are working on national level more actively. We have the Shift2Rail platform established, and based on them, also the significant players in the field of innovation are already very actively involved in the preparation of Shift2Rail 2. Especially we have the candidates for core membership and also candidates for system pillar. Is the our infrastructure manager with which expressed the interest to become a system pillar member, and of course our big railway undertaking, the greatest one, Czech Railways, are expressing this interest. So that's the complex information given from the railway operating community, but also companies from the industry. They have also big interest to be in the new partnership, especially current associated member AGD, dealing with signaling systems, and also other companies, especially the IT-based, which are already active. It's all this group which is also very actively contributed to a new Shift2Rail process. So that's my contribution. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Halthof. We have 2 minutes left for our webinar. Sarah, would you like to say some final words before I close this session?
I could try to do so, yeah. I think it's important that the instruments on national level and on European level complement each other. And I also think that it's very important that there is a European level, like the Shift2Rail at the moment and the success in the future, who is bundling this knowledge of what's existing in research, technology and innovation all over Europe in order to find a framework, because we learned in the morning that transport goes beyond borders, and so it's important then we have a common framework for all member states, and there's someone who is bundling all those efforts on the national level to make more than 1 to 1. 1 + 1 is 2. It should be more to get out of it if there's someone bundling it and coordinating it.
Thank you very much, Sarah. I think these are very nice words to finish this webinar. I would like to thank all the speakers for their very interesting presentations, and also to prepare the 2 questions. I would like to thank all the attendees for joining the webinar, and I would like to inform everyone that the webinar recordings will be available early next week. Thank you very much, and I hope you will stay with us until the end of the Shift2Rail Innovation Days. Bye-bye.